Okay, Chair, all members of the public have been admitted, but we are just waiting for Facebook Live. And there it is.
Awesome. Aloha mai kako, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this blistery weather. We do want to hope and wish and stay safe and send our puli out to you folks across the Pai'aina, that everyone stays safe as best as we can during this time. With that in mind, I also do want to start the meeting by saying we will try to keep today's meeting fairly brief, but it is my pleasure as chair to do the roll call before we get started. So the chair is here. I'm by myself. Vice Chair is on her way. Commissioner Ani Benham.
I'm present and by myself.
Commissioner Bento is excused. Commissioner De Silva is excused. Commissioner Hussey.
I am here and by myself.
Commissioner Keokalole is also excused. Commissioner Lum.
Present and by myself.
Commissioner Onishi is also excused. We do not have a quorum, but I understand that we can do our vehena. So Commissioner Benham, I'll turn it over to you for introductions.
Mahalo, Chair. I am so very tickled and pleased to present our UH West Oahu Kulana o Kapolei, Dr. Manulani Aluli Meyer, to present our vahena today. I must say that she keeps all of us on our toes out there, and she will be presenting on an absolutely brilliant initiative that she's engaged in, that she has brought UH West Oahu into, and it certainly is something important, not only for us here in Hawaii, but across the Pacific. So I'll punt it over to you, Dr. Meyer.
Hui. Aloha, Chancellor. Mahalo nui for this opportunity. Commissioner Benham. Lo nui ka makahiki. Lo nui ka makahiki. Lo nui ka makahiki. It is makahiki season. I really want to forgive us for bringing all this rain in, but we really needed it. And this is how our home looked on Saturday. So may this season of peace, gratitude, and excellence keep guiding us, because this is the season of Lono. And Lono is our elemental form of abundance. And today is about abundance. And as a Hilo girl, this is, come on, Oahu, buck up, buck up. All right. So this is a segue. This is Auntie Lynette Puglinamon this morning. Rain or rain, here she's just like this. This is her last Nohona Hawaii class. And I want to give you this image because she's been the spiritual underpinning of our Niu Now movement, what I'm going to discuss for the next 9 minutes. And in her volume 3 that she and Uncle Lee Keiki were pivotal in penning, they really developed. It took 40 years to respond to Nanai Ke Kuma 1, 2, and then 3 finally came out. And 3 is all about resilience. And resilience for Auntie Lynette is all about ho'opono. And ho'opono is, she really believes a healer in every home. And she really believes that happens through land and through cultural landscaping. How's that, you guys? Cultural landscaping. And cultural landscaping for us has turned into cultural agroforestry. So here we go. What is it? What's new now? When our chancellor invited me to speak for a big 10 minutes, I love presenting the idea that coconuts are going to absolutely be pivotal in transforming Hawaii. All right, so this is our Niu Now moment. And here's Indrajit, our practitioner, speaking with Mike Gabbard and his wife. And to the left is a grove that has ended at Kalailoa. And so both pictures represent our history and our future. That's a Niu nursery. Isn't that cool? And 180 of those Niu seedlings, Commissioner Hussey, went to Kukani Loco. What a blessing. So here it is. Why coconuts? I mean, really, why coconuts? What's the big deal? And what's new now? And what is cultural agroforestry? And here's my favorite image. Every time I look at this, I always feel like, oh, look at this poor baby. And you know, I'm telling you, coconuts have changed my life. And I've become a neonate And I want to tell you why it's important for FestPAC. Okay, you guys, so pay attention, please. Okay, because we have lost here in Hawaii our authentic relationship with Niu. Coconut palms have been romanticized and exoticized and are currently considered ornamental and, worse yet, a liability. A liability, you know, people just like fear coconuts. You know what I mean? If it comes down, you throw it away. I mean, how's that? So here's how Niu Now began. Niu Now is a movement. It's a bona fide movement, and we've got people connecting all over the islands and throughout the Pacific, connecting to coconuts. This is our vision statement. We envision Niu as a relationship rooted in community and aloha aina. And here are the co-founders. Nahiraka Mason, my beloved, who is a out Maori from Aotearoa, Indrajit Gunasekara from southern Sri Lanka. And so what a trio of energy and talent. And we get into a lot of heated discussions at home. And it's because we are dedicated to bringing coconuts back to Hawaii. But Indrajit Gunasekara is our new knowledge holder. You've got to have one of those guys, because he is 3,000 years as an unbroken practice. So Indrajit, I want to read this, is an indigenous Niu knowledge holder practitioner. He comes from southern Sri Lanka and grew up eating coconuts daily, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He is from a culture that maintained their relationship with the coconut through 3,000 years of knowledge, stories, and practices within every aspect of life. The coconut palm is considered the tree of life in Sri Lanka. The revered Niu is a sign of wealth, food, medicine, and beauty. His knowledge inspires and guides this Niu Now movement. So we are into diversity. A lot of Hawaiians just don't think that coconuts are a diverse aspect of our lives. Yes, it is. We planted, I think, 28 varieties here at UH West Oahu and just gave 340 of them away 2 Fridays ago. Here is Indrajit talking to the Ma'o gang. We gave 220 to them to enliven Lualuale, the first Uluniu coconut grove planted for food, just happened February this year. Now, you guys, you see these coconuts? They are still filled with food. They can be brown for about a year. And wow, that changed my life. Changed my life to know that there's food in these coconuts for about a year. So this is why I believe your Commissioner Benham has asked us to speak, because we were going to present. We had a 300 to 500 venue locked in, ready to go in FestPAC in 2021, and it wasn't on your official venue. And Monty, thanks for supporting us. You the Bob, Monty. And so we were just going to do it because it's our community movement. We are a Niu Now movement, and we're embedded at UH West Oahu, and Indrajit and I both work here. And so when it was canceled, we just went virtual. Ta-da! So we had webinars. Thanks to Chelsea Onaga. She corralled us cats. And we were able to have 7 webinars once a month. And boy, my sister Miley says it was like listening with a fire hose of knowledge now, you know. And we had a blast. So we are dedicated to bringing coconuts back into our lives as a food resource and a cultural rejuvenation tool. Here's our neonates at Ma'o, planting at Lualuale. And then here's our 18 varieties that of Niu that we put into a Niu nursery at Waianae Comprehensive. Alicia Higa is allowing us to grow up to 800 and to give it away next year. So we are giving away our coconuts, and people are lining up. So that's and this is what I believe. And thank you, Sylvia, for really supporting the initiative at Kukani Local. This is us just a few weeks ago. Thanks to Dr. Lori Walker and the gang, Tom Linchenko, Dr. Noah Lincoln and the group, and Indrajit. We came and we planted 108 Niu, 16 varieties. And so there's an Ulu Niu, a coconut grove at Kukani Local. These are spots that are enlivening our people. These are spots that that FestPAC can gather around. These are spots within 2 years that will be phenomenal. So we have an Ahaniu International Coconut Conference set for May 12th through 14th. Anyone interested? We've got people coming in from the Pacific. Food resource, cultural rejuvenation, and ecological resources are the trilogy that we are focusing on in this conference. So gang, 10 minutes to tell you that the function of an idea is the continuity of it. And for you to gather in FestPAC, please consider the idea that coconuts can play a pivotal role both in gathering people. We have Hula Niu coming back with Cousin Auli'i's Hula Halau. We have food practices. We have cultural weaving, making rope, vinegar, you name it. This beloved tree is coming back as a kumu niu for our people. And so this opportunity has been kind of fun because we were going to do it anyway, whether FestPAC supported us or not. But wouldn't that be fun if you supported? Because then the Samoans can come, the Tahitians can come, the Rarotongans can come, the Tongans can come, the Pohnpeians can come, and we can really learn a lot from our cousins throughout Moana Nui Akea. So let's have some fun with this idea of a niu now and cultural rejuvenation through our coconut, shall we? And just count us in. And it's an honor to speak with you folks, and consider us part of your community that you can tap into, because we're going to be doing it, and we'd love to share our mana'o. So thank you.
Mahalo. Members, I just want to note for the record, for the minutes, Commissioner De Silva and Commissioner Salah are now present. I didn't notate the time, sorry, but I do want to note that we have quorum now with the members present. I would also then like to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 2, which is asking the member if there's anyone who would like to testify. Please go ahead and unmute and turn on your camera and let us know if you'd like to testify on any of the agenda items for today's meeting. Going once, twice, third time's a charm. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 3, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes circulated from our November 22nd, 2021 meeting.
Chair, I move that we accept the minutes from our last meeting.
Thanks for that. I would say that somebody else would second, but that's already happened.
That's
okay,
not
so,
me, by the way, so.
Totally. So Commissioner Benham moved, and I think Commissioner De Silva seconded, if I'm not mistaken, or Commissioner Lum. I don't know who got their hand up first, but one of them. Any discussion, members, on the minutes? Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Also like to notate for the record that Commissioner Onishi is now present at 2:47 p.m. So we got the whole gang together almost. Thanks, Commissioner, for joining us. We're going to go ahead and vote now. I'm going to move across my screen. So Commissioner Lum.
Aye.
Commissioner Hussey.
Oh, aye.
Commissioner Ani Benham.
Aye.
Commissioner De Silva.
Aye.
Commissioner Salah.
Aye.
Commissioner Onishi.
Aye.
And the chair
Sorry
votes
for being
aye.
late.
No worries. Thank you for joining us. Chair votes aye. And Kimberly, I don't know how come you keep coming off mute, but okay, Malia, that's all you. I want to move on to agenda item number 4. Is there a report of any permitted interactions since our last meeting? I'm not aware of any members, any others? Okay, mahalo. Moving on to agenda item number 5. There was no meeting of the administrative committee. Sorry, getting all my committees between HTA's board just created new committees and our new committees. I almost called it administrative and audit committee because that's what we call it at HTA now. This is just an administrative committee. I promise I'll get them straight. So there was no meeting that took place for that. I'm not aware if the venues committee had a meeting. Nope, no venues committee meetings. So that moves us through 5 and 6. I would like to then turn the time over to Festival Director Salah for an update from the Festival Director. Mahalo.
Thank you, Chair. So in the interest of keeping today's meeting short, I'll move through as quickly as I can. There are some important updates. The first, unfortunately, is not is that there is no update on Festival Village, though I'm hoping to meet with UH Manoa executive team before our next meeting. And so that is moving through the process. I'm working to be as proactive on that front as I can at this point. I'm hoping to have a better update in more detail by the next meeting. I've begun my meetings one-on-one with each of the commissioners and apologize if I haven't had a chance to meet with you yet. Please note that my goal is to wrap up this first round of one-on-one meetings with commissioners before our next meeting. So I've had a series of successful engagements with potential key partners, and I just want to acknowledge them here as we start to move forward. These include Jonathan Johnson and Karen Ewald from the State Foundation on Culture and the Arts. I'm really excited to be talking also with Mary Hattori, who is Director of Pacific Islands Development Program, and Jill Hamasaki, Director of Marketing and Events at East West Center. Also from East West Center, I've had a chance to meet with Eric Chang, who's the Arts Program Coordinator there. So my next meeting with Mary and Jill is later this week on the 9th. Now that Susie Vares-Lam is installed as president of East West Center, I'm hoping that we'll be able to get some good traction with East West Center as a partner for the festival. On a higher level, kind of touch base, I've made contact with Melanie Ida and Keone Bunag of Bishop Museum, and have continued ongoing conversations with Kiali Haverly at Polynesian Cultural Center. In a nutshell, that's the sort of operational actions I've been working on. There are two pieces.
Aaron, only if it's a coconut shell.
Mahalo. Mahalo. So I do want to open the door to having a conversation on two pieces of two topics, two pieces of initiatives that I need the Commission's guidance on. This is on the topic of both fund and friend raising. And so the first piece of this is needing the Commission's guidance on establishing a proper fiscal agent to accept funds on behalf of FestPAC 2024 and how the Commission prefers for that to happen. This is not just the establishment of a 501c3 or a partnership with a 501c3 in order to onboard and intake funds. It also is for us to begin the process of really solidifying the organization and capacity for the organization to build MOUs with partners. And obviously, you know, Commissioner Hussey, this would be with OHA and with East West Center, with State Foundation, as we start to pull these partnerships together. The second piece of this is that as soon as we can solidify the Festival Village venue, I'll need to really start building out the staff team to operationalize on behalf of the festival. And so I would appreciate some guidance from the Commission on how best the Commission wants me to communicate those needs to this Commission. I'll leave that there for now and entertain any questions anyone has.
Members, the floor is open for questions for the Festival Director.
Aaron, can you talk a little bit more about the fiscal agent, how you're thinking about the fiscal agent, what our different options might be, and maybe Margaret might answer some questions as some things are coming to mind, but it would be good for us to understand a bit more about how you're thinking about it, you and Chair as well.
Yeah, so Chair, you keep me honest on this. Chair and I met for an extended time to discuss FestPAC a couple of weeks ago, and in order to start talking about how to intake funds, he alerted me and reminded me that there is a trust fund established at DBED for this purpose. But however, I think the motivation and the impetus to sponsor and fund events around the festival are stronger if we can establish a 501c3 that provides proper tax, write-offs and benefits in support of the festival. And so in our conversation, that was centered around the establishment of a brand new nonprofit organization. Let me just bring in, for the sake of discussion, that my current contract is being executed with NAHA. And so it's HTA funded through the Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association. So over the course of this initial contract, if the goal of the commission is to establish a brand new nonprofit organization for the purpose of the Festival of Pacific Arts Hawaii 2024, then it seems to me that, just in order to keep everything clean and paperwork steady, there will have to be a series of MOUs that are developed. Well, I'm sorry, Commissioner Benham, back to your original question. So it seems to me that the motivation right now is to establish a brand new nonprofit. I want to also invoke NAHA as a fiscal agent because my contract is with NAHA. And so there's opportunity there. I don't know if this would best be directed to the administrative committee to come back with ideas, because obviously if we establish a brand new nonprofit, the brand new nonprofit needs 3 officers, president, secretary, treasurer. And so who those officers are and how they function, I'm not sure what that would look like. And let me say this before I quiet again, that I can certainly come back to the commission with, after having talked to Margaret and the AG's office for the best plan moving forward. However, that isn't my comfort. My comfort level is low there. I really would like to ask the commission to provide guidance to that end.
Members, floor is open for questions. Or Margaret, if you have guidance for us.
No, I don't have any questions. I just think what I would be most interested in seeing is something in writing as to how the funds will be handled and accounted for, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the only thing that I would be interested in.
Yeah, and maybe if I can back up a little bit, when Director Salah was asking about this, my initial recommendation was to bring it back to this body for discussion and decision making. What we're trying to figure out is, as funders get engaged with us, many of them are looking for the tax write-off, and a nonprofit is how we do that. The trust fund, as I understand it from the state, doesn't allow that to happen, as I understand it, which is why we even floated this idea. And then what I think we can do in collaboration with Aaron is to create the nonprofit so that it sunrises and sunsets with the commission. And it's set up exclusively for the purpose of the festival. And then that its members who represent, those officers for a nonprofit, its bylaws, its governance would be decided by us, right? It would become almost, and Margaret, I don't know how this works legally, but sort of, I don't know. I want to call it a bambooster club. That's what it feels like for me. And I don't know if that's an appropriate analogy, but that's what it felt like to me, was a booster club that would support the mission of the festival. But happy to take questions and to deliberate. Obviously, we're not going to decide on this today, but wanted to float this for your folks' consideration and deliberation moving forward.
Chair, I do think it is a cleaner way to do it, because I am sort of mulling over, Margaret, the advisory opinion that you sent to us, and how we would go about not only partnering with other agencies and nonprofit organizations, community-based organizations, and actually accept funds from them. So thanks for that clarification, Chair.
Well, I think there are just a couple of issues. I mean, first, there would be a procurement issue if the state was going to be the one hiring. I don't know whether it's actually going to be a fiscal agent, but an actual person in a position. So that would trigger a procurement issue. So I don't know whether that's been addressed. I can check with, your deputy AG chair of HTA. I know that, DBED does not have the authority to establish a 501c3. So it's certainly not going to be this, I think the state, I don't know about HTA establishing a 501c3.
Yeah, we're not. We're subject to 103D as well.
So you know what, those are just issues that we're going to have to address, because I see now what your goal is, what you're trying to do. And yeah, again, let me talk it over with the chair and HTA's deputy AG and figure out what we can do. It may not be the state who's actually going to be establishing a 501c3. I have a feeling that's going to be the case.
Commissioner Onishi first, and then Commissioner Lum.
Yes, Margaret, I wanted to ask, do you know if the commission has the capacity to authorize the establishment of a 501(c)(3)?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. And my instinct would be no, because the commission is part of the state. But let me look into that.
Okay, because I think that would be guidance. Yeah, I mean, if we can establish it, then then we can function, I think, with the donations and accountability, etc., being clean, and that would be the most advantageous for, I think, the commission.
Yes, but even if the state isn't the one who's allowed to establish the 501c3, I mean, certainly, as I said before, there would need to be plenty of documentation as to how these funds will be accounted for.
Okay, Member Lum.
Well, two things regarding the trust account at DBED. Yes, number one, if donors are looking for some sort of tax write-off, that it wouldn't accomplish that. And then secondly, as Margaret pointed out, when funds come into the state's coffers, so in this case, even though it's a trust fund set aside to hold non-state funds, it would have to go through procurement, any spending out of that. So the second thing is that I believe, and I guess what I would do is maybe try to reach out to Randy Tanaka. But if I recall correctly, with the World Conservation Congress that was here in 2016, I believe I thought he said that they formed a nonprofit to handle that. So maybe looking into that and how they handled it would be something to look at.
I would be in support of the nonprofit. I think this is the way that we do Honolulu City Lights, is we do it through a nonprofit who partners in helping us achieve our mission, yet they can also do many other things that we are unable to do as a government entity.
As a really, yeah, thank you. As a really quick response to Commissioner Lum, I did reach out to Randy, and both for APEC and IUCN, they used UH Foundation and then I think RCUH as, that may be incorrect, but they did have a fiscal agent that was pre-existing. And so, if I can put this out, if the commission is not, doesn't have the ability to establish a 501c3, is it something to consider to RFP a 501c3 as a fiscal agent for this work?
That's certainly a possibility. Or if, again, Sarah, I would talk it over with HTA as to whether whoever you have contracted with, NAHA or whatever, whether that contracting party would have the capability of contracting with a 501c3. So even if the state can't establish the 501c3, somebody can certainly contract with a 501c3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, like I'm grateful for the conversation. I think these are all fantastic questions. Again, the intention wasn't to sort of get through all of this today. This was to introduce the idea and see if we're going down a good path, and then we can go do homework. So if you folks are okay with that, then we'll task Director Salah to kind of go through and do the due diligence, write it up like Margaret's requested, and then we'll submit it back to us probably for the January meeting.
Okay, understood, and we'll do.
Commissioner Onishi?
Yeah, Chair, given all the discussion, I think that in tandem, maybe we should explore with NAHA what their needs would be for us to establish a working relationship with them as a commission and their ability to assist us, like in this case, when we needed the festival director.
Yeah,
And as an option, you know.
Sure. The thing that I will bring to the table, the legislature has changed HTA structure. One of the impacts of that is we're under 103D. And so we're told that to procure moving forward, obviously we need to comply with 103D. NAHA's contract ends in June of 2022. And so we'll have to go through a procurement for that at HTA. So that limits NAHA's ability to help us very far into the future. Any other questions on this particular topic or anything else that Director Salah has shared?
The investigation that we also need to figure out as well.
Okay, hearing none. Director, anything else for us?
No, that is it for today. Thank you.
Awesome, mahalo members. I'm gonna go ahead and then move to our public testimony, agenda item number 8. If there are any members of the public who would like to testify on any of today's agenda items, please go ahead and unmute yourself and turn on the camera. Going once, twice, 3 times. Commissioner Onishi, you got your hand up.
Yeah, Chair, before we take that testimony, I think there was a second issue that Director Salah brought up in regards to how we would go about with the staffing or additional staffing. And I think, again, what we should consider is if he is able to begin the work of coming up with a proposed budget for the staffing. I'm not sure. I know we have a fundraiser position that was budgeted for, but I think as we move forward, the operational people, we really need to take a look at what functionality and what kind of budget we want to establish, and that ties into our ability to then utilize whatever funds are raised or adjust the budget as needed to move forward. So I think that's an excellent point. I think we need to begin to look at bringing people on board for execution purposes.
I would agree. Director Salah?
Yeah, thank you, Rep. Onishi, for bringing that back around. I will absolutely start to pull together a budget. I'll work with commissioners on that to assure that we have the proper support, but I'll lean heavily on the festival handbook, but also thinking about how we move forward. As soon as the festival village venue is solidified, we'll be at a point where we can really come out at the gate from then on, because then we'll have all the infrastructure pieces set. So thank you for that.
Just for clarification too, real quick, that'll go through the administrative committee, right? And then to the full. Okay, Commissioner
Yes.
Benham.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was going to make mention what Commissioner Onishi just said, and just listening to the conversation, that you know, I know that that Festival Director Salah is going to be doing his due diligence around this entity that is going to be able to bring in friends and philanthropic monies to support this event, but at the same time, maybe actually have the responsibility of setting up the sort of the office for the Festival of the Pacific, along with the administrative staff, of which shares the responsibility of fundraising and fundraising and whatnot. So we might want to take a look at different ways of supporting an administrative staff. I liked what you said, Commissioner Onishi, about sort of the functionality of that administrative staff. It may look very different, sort of to fit your needs, Aaron, as we go forward. So anyway, that's just thinking out loud. Look forward to that conversation.
Of course. And quite frankly, I'll just be the one to say it. I know it's the holidays and all, but we can budget it, but we don't have the call out right now. So go on, find money, go find money.
Absolutely. And friends.
Yes, and friends. Okay, members, any other questions for the director? Okay, hearing none. I'm going to hunt agenda item number 8 to members of the public. If you'd like to testify on any of today's agenda items, please go ahead and unmute yourself and turn on your camera. Going once, twice, third time's a charm. I'm going to move into announcements. I'm going to go ahead and start that. We did make a request to start calendar year 2022 meetings at 3 p.m. Instead of 2:30, and we didn't get any feedback that anybody had any concerns. So with that, I'm going to ask Malia to distribute the calendar 22 of meetings starting with 3 p.m. Starting in January of 2022. If we do need to change that and things come up, we'll obviously bring that back to this group. But right now, at least we can get it on people's calendars early and then sort of foresee any challenges with attendance or quorum and things like that. There are some changes in regards to Act 220 that begin in January for the commissioners. I don't believe there will be any functional changes to us at present. What it does though do is that staff will have to create a physical location for members of the public to view the meeting from, which we'll take care of and coordinate offline. So there's no functional changes presently for you folks. The one question I kind of have though is, are you folks okay continuing to meet virtually like this? Okay, I'm seeing lots of head nods in the affirmative. The other thing too is our next meeting is scheduled for December 20th, 2021. And Malia, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the December meeting is still at 2:30.
That's correct, Chair.
Okay, if you can let Malia know if you cannot come. I know it's the holidays. I know it's close to all the holidays. So if you folks aren't planning on attending the December 20th meeting, or if we feel like we don't have anything we need to discuss, there is a potential for us to cancel that, but we'll hold the date for now. By meeting today, we did meet our statutory requirement to meet once monthly. And so this does fulfill the December requirement. But moving forward, if something comes up, we don't have quorum, or there isn't a sufficient amount of stuff to cover for the December 20th meeting, we may cancel. Okay, if that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Anyone?
So moved.
There we go, and a second. And all in favor?
Aye.
There we go. Please stay safe. Please be well. Hug your families and stay safe. Aloha.
Aloha, happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Lono i ka makahiki.
Lono i ka makahiki.